Hello everyone, my name is Vanessa and you are watching Pretty Elevation. So today I just wanted to make a video. I felt like it's time that I share why exactly I started Kundalini Yoga, how I found it and how it helped me. Because I realized that I haven't done that yet on my channel. Pretty much on my channel it's been mostly just Kriyas and meditations, and maybe somebody else can benefit from me sharing my story. So I found Kundalini Yoga when I was about 20, 21, and I had just had my daughter, and I was struggling at the time with an eating disorder. And this eating disorder was overpowering. Like it was taking over my life completely. I was purging and I was over exercising and I had gotten really skinny. And this wasn't just a short thing. This was something that I had been dealing with from the age of 11 until like 23 or something. And I noticed that in my life, I kind of like teeter-tottered between addiction and an eating disorder. You know, I would be off and on between the both of them until, I decided to stop drugs. And, I just started exercising a lot and eating healthy. And, I focused on my partner at the time and we just developed a life together. And we had my daughter, so that kind of like was a major game changer. But then it switched from like addiction to a full-blown eating disorder, which was another major issue, right? So eating disorder and addiction actually are very similar in nature, in a sense that it's a compulsive habit that you cannot stop. So that is also something to be thought of, because if I healed myself using Kundalini Yoga and plant medicine from an eating disorder, it can also be used for addictions. And if you have addictions or, and vice versa. So it was like most of my life I have been battling this eating disorder, whether it was in the form of anorexia and not eating, or purging after I ate, or exercising like a crazy person, or obsessively keeping track of everything I ate. Like I was very, very sick for a long time. And I was getting to the point of desperation. And I was watching all these YouTube videos, for a while I started watching Infinite Waters. So shout out to Ralph Smart for putting me on the 7-day vegan challenge, because that actually, it launched me in that direction. Now, mind you, I was already vegetarian for most of my life, off and on. But, when I became vegan, that was like the beginning of a lot of transformation for me as well. So that aside, I was watching different people on YouTube, talking about spirituality, and I was searching for something to help me, to like kind of save me from myself essentially. And I watched a video about Kundalini, and what the Kundalini energy is. And everyone was saying, it transforms your whole life and it changes you from the inside out. Like it's just this intense experience and so transformative. And I was like, oh my gosh, I think this is it, I was like, I need to figure out how to do this Kundalini thing. So I started Googling, how do I awaken my Kundalini? And then I found Kundalini Yoga. So when I found Kundalini Yoga, I started practicing it every day. Now I was at home just like every single day, like clockwork, doing different Kriyas and meditations. At the time I was more into the Kriya portion of it. I'm a very physical person and I enjoyed that a lot. And then eventually I went and I took a teacher training. So that teacher training launched another whole chapter of my life. And every year I've been doing another level of training because I just completely fell in love with the practice. Now, here's what happened for me that was incredibly magical. Probably about my second year of practicing Kundalini yoga, I realized that I didn't want to binge and purge anymore. Like, it happened kind of gradually. It would go from like, once every 3-4 days. Well, at one point it was like every day. And then it went from like 3-4 days to like a week to like every 2-3 weeks. And then it was like, wow, I haven't like purged in like 3 months, like this is incredible. And what's happening here is Kundalini yoga rewires neural pathways of the brain. So what happens is you're able to go down, if you look at it like different pathways, purging and that eating disorder is like a pathway that we've walked down many, many times. It's so easy, and it's almost hard to not go down that way because we just programmed our brains to do that. Or at the time I had just programmed my brain to do that. So instead of focusing on the problem, which is what, it's no offense to like Western medicine, it works for some people, whatever. Instead of focusing on the problem and, going for therapy and then taking yourself away from the real world and going to these, programs and just not focusing on other aspects of it. So instead of focusing on how am I going to quit purging, I was focusing on other things. I was focusing on different kriyas that are expanding my brain and creating all these new neural pathways, so that it got to the point where naturally it just fell away. The eating disorder just fell away. I had a very, very traumatic life when I was younger. I had a lot of work to do, a lot of things to overcome. I'm still not done yet, but I've come a very, very, very long way. And Kundalini yoga has definitely accelerated my path. It's accelerated me along my journey. That being said, I haven't purged in years now. Like, I've been fully healed from that, thank God. I am super grateful and happy, and I would love to help anybody else who would like to also heal themselves from this. Not only did I use Kundalini yoga, I also used plant medicines such as ayahuasca. I can also make another video about my experience with ayahuasca and how that helped as well, because there are so many different levels to the trauma that I've had to overcome and that I have been able to overcome using these different healing methods and Kundalini yoga, etc. So if you would like to hear more about my ayahuasca experiences, please leave me a comment below and I will definitely be happy to get into that as well. But this video was more just why I started Kundalini yoga, how it helped me, and a little bit about my backstory. Also, like when I went to teacher training, I was taught, that when we're teaching, to cover our heads, to contain our energy, protect the crown chakra, and it just keeps us focused. That being said, obviously in my day-to-day life, I do not wear a turban, and for some videos I may not. If I'm just sitting here talking, the reason I'm still wearing it now is because I actually just made another video like that was a Kriya video. So anyways, that being said, I have tremendously healed from a lot of things. And my vibration has drastically increased. Like every day, my vibration is just naturally like up here. And we all naturally like pivot up and down, or we fluctuate. with our vibrations depending on what's happening. But what I've noticed with Kundalini yoga is I am more able to stay connected to my core and to be non-reactive for the most part. And if I do react, it is a short-lived reaction. It's not something that's going to mess up my entire day. Whereas before I started practicing Kundalini yoga, I noticed that, you know, sometimes things could really like bother me, and then like I would be like thrown off for a little while. But now it's like non-reactive, and if I do react, it's pretty short-lived and I come back to boom, high vibration again, right? So that center is always there. Kundalini yoga is the yoga of awareness, essentially. It's the yoga of the spine. It makes us super conscious in consciousness. It is just such an incredible and powerful practice, but I can't act like it's the only yoga practice I do. Yes, I'm a Kundalini teacher, but I also practice Vinyasa, Ashtanga, Yin. Like I do other workouts. Like I'm just a very active person overall. But for a few years, like pretty much all I was doing is like gym and Kundalini. And that was where like the crazy transformation really started to take place. So that is a little bit about me, why I started Kundalini yoga, how I found it, how it helped me. If you'd like to hear more about anything I talked about, please leave me a comment, as I mentioned below, and I will dig deeper into any of those topics. That being said, I hope you have a lovely rest of your day or evening if it's evening for you. Thank you so much for watching. Sat Nam.